the body politic actually is an old metaphor for a society or a religious group, and which is seen as a biological entity like a human body. So it's a sort of pun because I'm looking at society and the nation state particularly, and also my own body as a political body, and placing myself inside this larger body politic. Well, in most countries, the country is known as motherland, except I think Germany, where it's called fatherland for some reason. So, so the land is seen as a female figure. The earth is seen as a female figure normally in most mythologies, and also in nationalist narratives. So there's Britannia and there's various other figures who represent the country, the state. Looking at in this particular body of work, I'm looking at the development of this representation of the goddess of the country, one can say, the representation of the country through more than 100 years in India to the present day. I took some of the nationalist images from mainly Christopher Pinney's book. I think it's called Images of the Nation, and some others are very popular images like Bharat Mata of Abanindranath Tagore's we've studied in art school. It's a very iconic image. And there's this calendar image of painted by Jesu Das, which I've seen in a collection by Patricia Oberoi, who's been collecting popular material and calendar paintings. So these have been very, in a sense, canonical images, like that of Kali and Bharat Bhiksha as well. Well, I've been doing that for a long time. Native women of South India was also like, taken, the images were taken, reference images were taken from many different sources. So, I'm looking at, in a sense, I'm looking at it as visual culture, but I would not put them all on the same register. And I'm not only interested in popular culture as some people seem to imagine, especially those studying, those from cultural studies. I'm also very interested in high art, and I look at both analytically and critically, I can say. And I think both are impacting us culturally. So I got interested in this whole area of eugenics when I saw this major show in New York University some years ago. So I didn't realize that some of the images, anthropometric images that I'd used in native of South India were actually connected to this whole area of eugenics, which is about good genes or improving the genes of the human population. And it was very popular in the early part of the 20th century, and in fact traveled from America. These ideas traveled from America to Germany, where Hitler actually took them up to an extreme. But what is very interesting is that I found that these ideas from eugenics were being used across government policies and were supported by some of the most progressive people through the years. For example, nationalists and feminists, the earlier feminists. Yes, I think in between, after I stopped, really sort of my sculptural kind of career petered out in the mid-90s, in the 90s actually. And then I think in 2008, I was invited for a sculpture workshop suddenly by a friend, and I did a series of sculptures over there, of books. And so I had this idea of making another set of those books, but that was very expensive. So at that point, I started looking around and went to the Archaeological Museum in Bangalore, and where I saw this vitrine with these wonderful objects in them, which were actually copper plate grants from the 15th and 16th centuries from South India. So I thought that was a wonderful form, and in a way I worked with sculpture in a very different way, because it's very similar to the way I make these photo performances or even my films, where actually I take from I recreate things and use this notion of a pseudo archive. So it's a kind of pseudo archive of objects which look like ancient archaeological objects, but in fact are very newly made, and then I've based it on these literally on these old copper grants. But I've actually they're handmade. Each object is made by me with some assistance from my assistant and technical help. But I've actually written all the scripts myself. And I did a lot of research. Yeah. In fact, some people asked me last night at the opening, where did I collect all these objects from? Because they really thought they were old objects. I said I made them. And I took 2 years to make.